Hi, I'm Tasanji Khan with Face Amore, and we're here with my lovely patient Amanda, and we're going to be doing Morpheus 8 today to give her some collagen stimulation and tighten her skin.
About somebody they trying to smash. You know what I mean? So we're here with family. How do you think those same kind of relationships, when you're dealing with somebody who has no sexual tension, how do you relate? Not in competition, but just relate and can maintain relationships in general. Let's see who wants to talk about that.
Well, I mean, I would have to say that basically that a lot of it has to do with me seeing them just like I see my sisters. You know what I'm saying? Of
Okay.
course, I'm in context knowing that they give me a different perspective, a perspective from a man's, but I speak to them like I would my own sisters because I don't feel like I need to put up a wall or hide anything or show like a mask. You know, all the times when we're talking about relationship wise, we're not always forthcoming on all our
the flaws. Yeah.
flaws. Yes.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Whereas if it's somebody like my brother or cousins or males that I, don't have any sexual attention or attraction to, they just my friend. They just like as if I was talking to my sisters.
Okay. The reason why I asked the question is actually in here, so that's why I'm asking the question. But the reason why I asked the question though is because I don't believe, and I've had this conversation with all levels of women, especially with my mama, because I talk to my mom about it a lot. It's very rare that you have any attention from a man if he doesn't have a sexual attraction to you. Like, mom claims all these dudes. I'll be talking to her, she'd be saying, "This is my friend, blah, blah, blah." I'd be like, "Man, please. This is some BS." You know what I mean? So, but I respect her. I respect women. That is the power that most women have. You are in control of where this relationship goes. But dudes don't give women they don't have some kind of sexual attraction to the time of day. They don't even talk to you without having
But
some
you're talking about someone that's related to me though, right?
Yeah. I kind of veered off. I thought it was interesting because I know that a lot of women keep coming and saying, "Hey, all y'all probably have male friends. You have male friends for a reason. The reason behind the male friend is that either he's married and he loves that woman, or he's waiting to see what happens with whatever you got going on. Because otherwise, they don't have any. Most men do not have the time of day for some woman they're not interested in. Like with me, obviously, I care about all y'all. I'm going to defend you even to the man you want to be with. I don't care. We are a family like that. But most men don't have the time of day for women that they don't have some type of attraction to. Is that not?
I would agree with that. I'm not naive, right? So I just think most of the time men really are not going to give you too much attention unless they at least find you physically attractive. First of all, let me say physical attraction and sexual attraction are not the same thing. Okay. I can see plenty of people that I think are very nice to look at, but that doesn't equate to sexual attraction for me. So there's a separate thing. That's a separate thing for me because that involves me thinking, feeling other things besides just visually. I'm not like, I'm not that low vibrational. I do realize that a lot of humans these days operate at that level, but I like to think I'm not. I'm just a little bit elevated from that. It's never going to be about purely physical to me. And I think that's one of the things that is more common among women than it is among men. Men are so visual that they will wrap all of their attention up in you just good to look at. And when you good to look at, for them, that's the same thing as being sexually attracted. Like they don't see the difference. But I think for women, It's just a look. I'm not saying all women are the same, and I'm sure there's plenty of women who look and think sexual stuff by looking at a man, but I'm saying for some women like myself, those aren't the same things. So I can look at a man and think he's attractive, but that doesn't, I don't think anything other than, gosh, he's just a good looking man. It ain't nothing else. Right. So I can give him my attention and it's not sexual. But to your point, I agree. I think most men can't separate the two. So they may look at you and find you attractive, and somewhere in the back of their mind, it's sexual, right? But if they're a good dude, the difference is they're a good dude, they'll still be your friend, because they realize usually it's only because they are in a situation where they actually love, they're married or they got a girlfriend they really love. Because if they didn't, I'm with you. I don't think they would. I think they would be waiting out what you gonna do. They looking for what you gonna do because because they're sexually attracted to you. So if they're not already attached, why wouldn't they at least see what's up?
Okay, so I like that. But so in that context, I want to point out when women have really extreme amount of power. That's a power over society. To a small degree, that's your individual power, but it grows into how society protects women in general. So the laws get made that way. All kinds of things kind of stem off from that basic attraction that men have for women in general. So that they've created levels of society that make you secure or safe, even if you're not their woman. It's just a societal thing.
And so with that said, are you saying that, because based on that video that you sent, it was saying that women don't take accountability for themselves in the context?
I'm not agreeing with everything, but yes, a little bit of that. Yeah.
Because society and what men have done, or based on us that we don't just take accountability because we're always the victim, so to speak?
Basically, it leads to saying you don't have to, because even if a man tries to hold you accountable, some other man will say, "No, you're okay, baby. It's okay, baby. Don't even worry about it."
and some other girl tell you the same thing.
I was gonna say girls have a tendency to be very supportive of each other, like in that where they'd be like, "Girl, don't listen to him."
Oh, no. Now, in that level, what you just said, Kenya, to me, that's her trying to fuck your life up. She might be support. It sounds like support, but she wants you to be just as sad as she is with no nigga either. That's different. That's different. That's a whole.
I don't think that's all women. Because if I had some woman telling me some dude was treating her like shit, and I tell her, "Girl, forget him, leave him alone," that ain't me wanting her to be miserable. That's me wanting her to be happy. Because right now it sounds like she's miserable to me.
Okay.
But I don't do. I never. See, I don't have those kind of conversations with girls because usually I'm trying to see it both ways, and I am usually the person who, I'm gonna be honest with you, in most instances will side with men when women are doing too much. And because women do too much. They do too much. And they're constantly I feel like some women do have way too much time on their hands where they're constantly just thinking of bull to stress themselves out. So
I agree with that.
I don't know.
Now that's a difference between men and women there, because so the ability to complain, let's just change it a little bit more. So you wouldn't listen to no dude just sit there and whine to you about his job, about his
no, you don't want to hear it.
Yeah. But women have that same thing is kind of imposed by women on men because they don't want you to. Yes.
Well, let's be honest. That's looked at as a feminine quality. Okay. Like, don't nobody want to hear no bitch ass nigga complain about something. but a female, you're more willing to be like, "Oh, honey, I understand," because that quality is looked at as a feminine quality, whether it's right or wrong. That's what you thinking. Oh, this old drama queen dude over here. Let's be 100. I call Kanye West the drama queen all the time because a lot of the way he acts, I see it as feminine.
He is. He's soft. He real soft. So that's why he need to stay over there with the white bread.
So
because he's soft.
So I mean, I feel like
Now with the white
I
bread.
agree, but then
With the white
again,
bread. You know white bread be soft and mushy.
again, that is something that is something that society has decided is a feminine quality.
Exactly.
And so
And that brings me to some of the things that I was saying, and even that Kenya had brought up, like what is really masculinity versus femininity? You know, how are we defining that?
The reason I brought
for
this
myself,
up, I thought of it in the context of dating, because we were talking about dating last time, and I hear a lot of what I hear on social media now is men complaining about women being too masculine, and specifically Black American women being too masculine. And so, but and I'm gonna keep it real. I have asked flat out people before, what's masculine? What's too masculine? Explain to me. I never get an answer. They can never explain what it is, but it's so negative that all of us are so, terrible potential mates because we're too masculine, but nobody explains what they mean by that.
Again, explaining it is a hard thing to do. But what I'm saying is we all here hopefully believe that there is an energy that comes from people. When you walk up to somebody, you can feel the charisma, you can feel some energy from, and there is a clear masculine energy that a woman walk up to you with, a bitch face or whatever you want to call it, and a certain energy is a real thing. It's just a real thing.
We need to know what that is, though.
How do
change that if they don't know what it is?
Yeah, it's a hard thing to describe, but I would think that like I said.
So let me say this. In men let me say this. In men and women differences, you say that a woman could have a resting bitch face. A woman who's not smiling or who just has a straight face, maybe her eyebrows are a little tightened or whatever, that is considered a resting bitch face. But with a man, that's considered his face. This is what I look like. Daddy grimaces all the time. David grimaces all the time, but that's just their face.
Yeah. There's a difference between men and women, so I agree with
that.
But
if a woman got something like going on like that, she got so much attitude, like you say. Like,
listen. Like that face you just gave, Nikki, that is what it is. That wasn't your resting normal face. And if a man is showing a tough face, it's not his normal face. He's actually showing you feel protected by somebody who's snarling all the time. I don't want to see no protection out of the woman I'm with. I don't need to see no protection. I need to see that you're about to run before anything happens. I want to know that you're about to go. You know what I mean? And that's cool. There's nothing wrong with that. You know what I mean? It's a huge difference. It's just a big difference, I mean, so yeah, that's.
Do you think that's, here was my thought about it. After after you said, what's the difference or how do we feel about that? I said, well, let me look up the definitions for these.
Let's do it.
And a lot of what it was saying for masculinity had to do with boys or men or some of the context. And it had me thinking it was more logical. Whereas where they were saying that femininity was more like everybody is saying that is more drama, more emotional. So that, men that act more emotional, feminine. Or women that act real logical and straightforward and to the point that, they're masculine, they got too much testosterone. You see what I'm saying? This was my thought process. What you think?
I actually agree with that because especially at a work corporate type setting, and that's something that I'm clearly not sexually attracted. There's no sexual tension. There's nothing. I see a lot of women that just seem like very masculine, but maybe you should be in that setting. Maybe that's the proper way to get business done. But I see that. I agree with that, honestly. You know what I mean? A woman that's in her right femininity, I would say. You know, they're supposed when they come in the room, they should be bringing a lightness to the room. Even if there's tension, they should be bringing a lightness, a different mood to the space with the energy they bring to the room. And I think that fairly rare. It is extremely rare. So, you know, I don't know if those skills are being taught to younger women at all anymore, because you want to be able to handle yourself in the corporate world. That is it's kind of it kind of doesn't, if you're training yourself to be prepared for that, then you're taking something away from the other. No?
I feel like a woman who's in the boardroom has to have that aspect anyway. I mean, unless she's the CEO or the person that's leading the entire team, she has to have a form of airy lightness to even gather the attention of the men that she's supposed to address. I think any female that is successful, and again, unless she's the owner, unless she, and I don't want to say successful because that's
professional. There we go.
And that, there you go. Has to understand that she has to maneuver a certain way to even gain the attention of those that she needs to.
In a business environment, I think you need to know when to turn it on and turn it off. You know, there are some times when you do need to be more masculine, depending on who your audience is and or what the message is that you're delivering. And there's times when you want to be more feminine. I use both to my advantage. And I know sometimes when I don't use one over the other, I could be criticized for it.
And that's for men as well, correct? I mean, sometimes men have to take a softer approach.
Yes, it depends on the audience.
Yeah.
In my opinion, the only time a man is obligated to take the softer approach is when he's addressing a woman.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, when he's addressing a woman. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
And I'm not saying to me that that's what needs to happen, but that's the only time I've seen in my profession a man take a softer approach. And at times that is offensive to me.
It can be offensive, yes.
I agree with that. I think it can be patronizing a little bit. So it depends on, it depends on how, business settings aside. I agree that I don't know if most women have the ability to turn it on and turn it off at this point. How do you think that is? And that may be the reason why they're not having the relationships socially that they want, but the business success is going booming. It's going great. The business success is out there.
Some women don't even possess that side.
They all used to. So what has changed?
No, I'm saying some women don't even possess a masculine side at all.
Oh, okay.
You know, yeah, some don't have that at all, but there are some women who do, and it usually are women who are leaders. And I don't even know if it has to be defined as being masculine, because I don't know. I consider masculine more of a physical thing and not a behavior. I feel like it is a behavior of a leader to be very direct when necessary. And when I say leader, I'm not just talking about in business. I'm talking about in your household. You can be very direct with your children. You can be very direct with your husband. You know, you can be, it just, when you are managing things and you know your audience, sometimes you need to be very clear. Effective communication involves clarity. So you need to be very clear in how you deliver your messages.
No, I agree that ties into our last point a little bit, because you mentioned the children. But to me, that's not unfeminine when you have to be stern with your children or something like that. That's actually, to a man that's sitting on the side watching how you interact with and how you conduct that business, that could be attractive, that she can handle it without needing some crying or needing some extra help. There's nothing wrong with that. We just being able to separate it from work and home is the bigger issue. Because
But
like we said, go ahead. The results are not working.
That's more tied into an emotion. You're choosing how to deliver whatever you need to effectively to your child through whatever emotion is going to be effective. But then that also takes logic, because a woman has to decide, let me logically think, what is the best way to address this issue at home, to get done what I need to. So, I mean, it's a combination of both, of the women having both. But it's her deciding when's the best way to use either.
Okay. Yeah. That was really a good point. Okay, so now we're talking about parent and child relationships. Does a relationship that you have with your mother or father or any other elders affect how you parent children? And this is kind of versus how men and women parent children individually. Is it, kind of tying into the questions, are men necessary in the family? How necessary are they? Does that make children more well-rounded? My opinion on it, but but it is what it is. So what's your thoughts on that? Discussing how men are necessary, and or if they are, because there's lots of single mothers, how does this all work for family and community?
First off, can I say men are definitely necessary? These children need fathers. Okay. So I want to say that as loud and as clear as I can, that I definitely not in the camp of I can do it by myself. I'm the mama and the daddy, all that stuff. No. No. No, 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 no. No. I think, it takes a man and a woman to make a baby for a reason. Both people, one could not do it without the other. There's literally debates going on social media right now about who, men being more important, because without the seed you can't get the, you just have a dead egg. Oh well, what, you can spill seed all day, but if you ain't got no egg to fertilize, it's a waste. Both are true, because you need both. You have no life without one or the other. So you need both. And I think there's a reason for that. And I think people take it too lightly that reason goes beyond conception.
Absolutely.
Children need two parents. A man, we've sit here and we've had, this is our 4th episode now where we've talked about a lot of the differences between men and women. And when it really comes down to it, that's the argument right there about why children need both. They need that balance. They need to see that, the woman's perspective and that man's perspective. They need to see examples of how women parent and how men parent. They need to see examples of how, hopefully, how a man and a woman love each other, right? And now what's unfortunate in our community is that we don't have this in a lot of households, and so a lot of children are growing up not seeing it. They're not seeing how two parents parent together. The difference, some of them are missing a parent, and so they have no perspective on that side, whether it be the mother or the father. In our community, more often the father missing, but then you've got that other gap, right? They don't get to see. A lot of them will grow up and not see a man and a woman, an adult man and adult woman who love each other, showing each other love. Doesn't have to be their two biological parents, but a lot of kids are growing up not seeing that at all. Whether it's mama's boyfriends or whether it's a step parent or whatever, they're not growing up and seeing a loving marriage, a loving a loving relationship between two adults. And I think that is what's hurting us more than anything. I think if children could grow up and they could see that loving relationship, regardless of who those two people are, then it will teach them to go forth and, one, believe that actual real love exists, and it's not we're not out here just all having sex to make babies, right? But also it would teach them, I think, a healthier respect for the other gender too. So they would understand about relationships, but they'd also understand about, uh, the other gender and how we work together and how we're the same and how we're different, right? If they get that healthy example.
Have both perspectives join in the parenting process.
I agree.
Also, do you think that some of the social acceptance and the emotional and physical things that we as parents go through is something that we impress upon our children, and they tend to go through those same or have those same actions and reactions to the things that we go through or they see us go through?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, your kids behave, they learn from you. You know what I'm saying? We're not perfect. We're around them every day. So they're going that our behaviors will be learned by them, and they will, and some will be repeated.
Mhm.
A lot will be repeated, you know. Um, that's how it should be.
So now the narrative has changed from when we were growing up. We were disciplined in ways of spankings, punishments. Nowadays, we've kind of gotten away from that. Our children are a little bit more vocal than that, kids should be seen and not heard. Do you think that has helped the situation or hindered the situation in our next generation?
I like the way kids are now to a certain extent. I like that they advocate for themselves, and that's important. In life, if you don't advocate for yourself, you're gonna have a lot of issues and not achieve what you want to achieve. So I definitely think things started changing with our generation. And you can kind of see it in this family as with our we're different. Things change from when you were a sibling, when you were born, to when I was born. You know what I'm saying? We're different people, and I think that that cutoff of, I don't know what gen I am, but I think I'm Gen X. I think Gen X started being they advocating for themselves. So things do change. People progress, people evolve. And so as things evolve, you do see things change. Think not just humans, but things. We don't have VHS tapes anymore. So some things are outdated. You don't put your hands on people. You don't need to hit someone. Does that make sense? To get them to do what you need them to do. You need to understand how to communicate, because in the real world, you hit somebody, you can lose your life today because everyone has a gun. So we have to train our kids to be different from what we were taught. We have to use what's right for the time. So we don't use the same methods of raising our children as our parents did, but some of our behaviors are similar. We're funny, we joke, we might think farts are funny or whatever, just little silly stuff about us that we did with our parents that we pass on to our children. But definitely life things are important to the child's continuation of life. If things need to change with time, you implement that.
Okay. Now, in some ways, has it been a detriment to us to allow our children to be so vocal? I mean, true, back before we understood that, running with the police and different things of that garnered a different reaction from us. We weren't so vocal, and we still found that we came up against obstacles. But nowadays, our children are speaking out against these authorities, since these figureheads, and are losing their lives. That we now are saying that we need to teach them how to behave, so to speak. How do we say that, yes, we want them to have a voice and have better than us, but at the same time protect them?
To be a respectful person. So teaching them how to advocate for themselves, teaching them how to communicate and interact with different individuals is important. I don't think that we have to go back to the times of control, of spankings and whoopings and whatever else. But yeah, you still need to discipline your children. I mean, You know, like that thing we watched, accountability is important. People need to understand that there are consequences for their actions, and certain actions can cost you your life. So you have to teach your children that, but you definitely don't, you know, I mean, that's a part of being disciplined, you know, where they understand situations and they know who the audience is and how they need to handle it.
I agree with that. And I think a lot of that starts with what our children see us do. If our children see us never taking responsibility for anything we do, always blaming somebody else, always blaming this person or that person or another gender or race or sex for not accomplishing what your own specific goals are, your children see this, especially the millennial and Gen X generations. They nosy as hell. So they are all up in every conversation. They are all, even if they in another room, they listen in, they want to give their opinions and all this and that. And it's a matter of how they see us interact with others, how they see us interact with our mates, how they see us interact with our siblings and other people, and what the situation is. If it is a situation of where I messed up and I don't take accountability of that, they're going to look at us like, how can you tell me anything when you know that this was your fault and you don't take accountability? I mean, just like the conversation we had a little bit ago where women don't like to listen and men will listen to anybody. I think it depends. I think it depends on who you are getting that advice from and what it is about, and if they're just as accountable for whatever they're trying to tell you to do.
Hey, I got a question since I'm just listening in, but so what about the biblical spare the rod, spoil the child type, thing? Is that a factor anymore or what?
We're not living in Bible times.
Okay.
Who wrote the Bible? And who wrote the Bible? You know what I'm saying? Like I'm not trying to clown the Bible. We can save that for another conversation. But
save that.
Christianity was created for a reason, and it's not one that I'm down with.
Okay.
Well, on top of that, the end of our generation, not the beginning of Gen X, but the end of our generation was all about understanding change and things changing. So we're a lot more open to not just accepting what we were taught, and our children are even more so, and our grandchildren are even more so. So it really started with the end of Generation X, and not just accepting because this is what God had us do, or this is what the Bible had us do, or this is how it's done, or beat your kids because that's what straightened y'all out. Because we opened our eyes while we listened as we grew up. We opened our eyes and realized, cap.
Like literally, we started using logic. You know what I'm saying? You got to think for yourself. You know what's right and what's wrong. You know what I'm saying? You know that. So why do you have to keep doing something just because that's what someone else did?
Yeah.
We know that you shouldn't be putting your hands on no damn body. Parents should not be hitting their children.
We knew that half the time we got our butts beat, we was going to turn around and do the same thing or something different that our parents wouldn't find out the next time.
Right. You put the rod on your child.
Behavior.
You put the rod on your child. Now you may be dead. You may not wake up in the morning because kids are not even playing with you. That's at that point kids nowadays feel like I'm a victim.
But that's taken away from the fact that we should be honoring our mother and father. I mean, I understand the concept, but if our parents are, and as us as parents are looking out for our children, guiding them in the best way that we know how to have the best life for them, should they not somehow honor what we are saying? And then again, I know that we're not talking about just always being the rod, but in that, if you don't honor me and the things that I'm telling you to do, there should be some type of consequence. There should be some type of disciplinary. There should be some type of, you're not on the right, just because you say, oh, well, I'm now a little bit more vocal, that doesn't mean that you're wise. That doesn't mean, a lot of times us as parents, all we're trying to do is guide you in a way that possibly we went and we made mistakes and we don't want you to go that way again. We don't want you to suffer the same consequences.
Another thing on that note, I like this, but so I'm wondering, does this mean that, is this a part because women control our society, our in-home society. This is avoiding accountability. So now you don't even want the children to be accountable. You don't give them consequences when they're young. So that means that they become less accountable as they get older and make kind of terrible decisions because of that. Or is it good or bad on that level?
We never said not to have consequences. I guess if we're talking about a theoretical rod instead of a physical rod, then yeah, theoretically, yeah, spare the rod, spoil the child. You know what I'm saying? We don't want to be creating assholes here. We want to create intelligent people who advocate for themselves, who understand the difference in right and wrong, and who don't just follow because this is what everybody else is doing or this is what I've been taught. When Cammie is older, I don't expect her to do all the same things that I've done. There may be things that are better for her in her life and decisions she needs to make that have nothing to do with me. Each one of us are individuals.
Yeah.
So we definitely don't think that discipline is unnecessary, but physical discipline is not necessary.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense. Cool.
Well, I truly appreciate my siblings coming on and let's getting into the circle of life and relationships. Until next time, thank you and much love. Peace.
There it is, another episode of Sibling Circle. I truly appreciate my siblings coming and sharing their time with me. It's always a blessing. Thank you again, and join us next time as we talk more about the sibling setup. Check out my sister, our sister Kenya's video. Until next time, peace and much love. Hello. Just wanted to do a little video and introduce myself. Let me see if I can put this better. My name is Kenya. I am 49 years old. I am divorced. I have 3 children, all boys, 18, 13, and 7. I am 5 feet tall, but, not, petite, curvy petite. Let me see if I can do a visual of the body. Yeah, there we go. So this is what my body looks like. Let's see what else. I consider myself agnostic, so I am not religious. I love things I enjoy doing, traveling, both domestically, but more importantly, internationally right now for me is a passion. I love binge watching TV shows. I love good movies. I really love music. I listen to all kinds of music. But right now, I'm really into listening to Afro beats, but I listen to rap, hip hop. I mostly am just a laid back person. I'm an introvert, so I would just say I'm better off kind of one-on-one than in crowds. Some of the things I enjoy doing, playing mini golf, going to see live comedy shows, live bands like in bars. I'm not a big drinker. I am not a smoker. Trying to think of anything I'm missing. What do people normally say in that? But yeah, that's a little bit about me. So nice to meet you.